These Washington Nationals can never make it easy, but they got the job done in extra innings. And also, I'm going to tell you why I'm changing the podcast name from Locked On Nationals to Locked On Nationals Starting Pitchers.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as the show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And while you're at it, make sure to search up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcasts, including over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals. While you're over on YouTube, hit that subscriber button as well. Hit a thumbs up or a thumbs down and leave a comment down in the comment section for whichever video. And if you missed yesterday's show, Mount Rushmore of Washington Nationals, I think I ruffled some feathers among some Nationals fans in that one. So make sure to check out yesterday's episode over on YouTube. And of course, wherever you get your podcast. Later on in today's show, the Nationals are still in Detroit. You got to take on the Detroit Tigers, and this is going to be an interesting pitching matchup as you've got Jake Irvin against Reese Olson. Reese Olson has been a very good pitcher for the Tigers all season long, even dating back in the last year. So this will be a tough one. This will probably be the toughest game that the Nationals have this series, but fortunately for us, you've got Jake Irvin on the bump. Later on, also, Joey Gallo, unfortunately, has a hamstring injury. Who's going to replace him over at first base? And guys, could it be James Wood's season? We'll have that in the second segment of today's show. But we start off with talking about the Nationals win yesterday. And of course, as you all know, if you're an everydayer, we're going to be talking about the Nats starting pitching yet again for the sixth straight month. We're talking about the Nats starting pitching. It is incredible. This has been a revelation so far in 2024. I love the Nats starting rotation right now. So we'll have that. But today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. And from brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive with all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. So now let's get started with talking about the Nationals getting the win 5-4, and all it took was one extra inning. As the Nationals in yesterday's game, this one was a very tricky one. Let's start off with Mitchell Parker first and foremost. Mitchell Parker, take a bow. You went, again, through your first 11 big league starts. You have a 3.21 ERA on the season. Now, an ERA is honestly kind of a miscued stat, in my opinion. I don't really look at it and kind of judge a starting pitcher, but if you have a 3.21 ERA, you're doing something right, especially through your first 11 starts in Major League Baseball. This was, again, just something that not many people saw coming. I did not see this coming, and likely you probably didn't see this coming as well, wherever you were watching this or wherever you were listening to this. But Mitchell Parker, if you were playing the game, is it a thing or is it not a thing? Mitchell Parker is a thing. This is a thing. And we are beyond the point now where maybe like 2 weeks ago, I was kind of sitting here saying, I don't think Mitchell Parker will be in this rotation moving forward. Well, Davey Martinez has got no choice now. Mitchell Parker will be in the starting rotation for the foreseeable future. And I think even you might put Cade Cavalli, you might option him back down to AAA whenever he is healthy, whenever he clears this 30-day gap. And I think that will probably be the right decision. You cannot take Mitchell Parker out of this starting rotation right now. And kind of going into yesterday's performance and really what looked great for him was the fact that Mitchell Parker, anytime that he is out there now, you feel that confidence. You feel that confidence in this team. And I think that is a very important part of this. And even in yesterday's kind of blunder performance, you had Mitchell Parker who had an error that kind of led to, not a great inning. He had 4 unearned runs. Then, of course, you had that Little League grand slam from Riley Green, and the floodgates kind of opened from there. So he only had 4 2/3 innings pitched, 81 pitches, 46 strikes. The thing that is most impressive, though, with Mitchell Parker is that he did not have his A game yesterday. Again, only 46 strikes out of his 81 pitches. He was not in the zone whatsoever. He still found a way to get the job done and have 0 earned runs on the night. And again, a Luis Garcia throwing error that led to 4 runs scoring in that 4th or 5th inning, rather. That is something that, is kind of unprecedented. We have seen this from Luis Garcia in years past. Luis Garcia now has actually been solid over at second base. You've seen the improvements, and I can't complain with what he has done so far this season. But now you have Mitchell Parker on the bump, and again, a 3.21 ERA through his first 11 starts. I cannot tell you enough how impressive that is. But even going into yesterday's game, I kind of expected Mitchell Parker to shove. That's the expectation at this point. And if you don't expect that, then I don't know what you are looking at. I don't know what Major League Baseball is looking at. I don't know why Major League Baseball doesn't have this guy on their poster at this point. He has been incredible so far. And again, first 11 starts, a 3.21 ERA, a 5th-round pick back in 2020 out of a JUCO. This is a pretty crazy, nice, compelling story for this Nationals team. He is filthy. He is absolutely filthy. And again, he didn't even have his A stuff yesterday, and he's still 4 2/3, 0 earned runs. Now, some of that may be a little inflated, of course. I thought the ump was really kind of pinching the zone a little bit yesterday. I think we all saw that. I saw a lot of people complain about that, but still, Mitchell Parker was incredible. This is a thing now with Mitchell Parker, but it wasn't even just him. CJ Abrams, Lane Thomas, Ildemaro Vargas, and of course, Lane Thomas again in the 10th inning to make the Nationals go up 5-4 and eventually get the win. You now have a compelling ball club here that just sits about 2 games back from a wild card spot. 31-35 on the season. This Nationals team, it's pretty damn fun. And it is a fun watch every single night at this point. And something that we've talked about a lot on this show is when you have CJ Abrams and Lane Thomas clicking in this offense, there's not going to be many results that you don't favor this team, in my opinion. Because those are 2 pretty lethal weapons. You have Lane Thomas, who has the power to hit 28 home runs in the season. You've got CJ Abrams, who's got really all the potential in the world. He's not going to hit 40 home runs, but we all know that he's got a little bit more power than what a lot of people expected from him. And he's still only 23 years old. So CJ Abrams had that triple to make it 2-0 in the top of the 5th, followed by a Lane Thomas sac fly to go up 3-0 in the top of the 5th. And that is kind of when the floodgates open for Mitchell Parker, where you had that Little League grand slam by Riley Green. That's just bad luck. And again, multiple fielding errors, one by Parker, one by Garcia, of course, with a throwing error. Those are things that are just going to happen. And there are 2 young players. Luis Garcia, while he's a vet at this point, he's still young. He's still someone that you kind of look at and say, he's developing. Give him some time. But now with this Nationals team going forward, you have to think to yourself, what's the ceiling? How far can this team go? Because again, when you have contributions from guys like Lane Thomas, who's adding a hit, multiple RBIs, getting on base with walks, CJ Abrams having a triple, getting a run in there, and then of course, another walk for CJ Abrams, which is what you want to see. You even have guys like, Joey Gallo, even though he hurt his hamstring yesterday, and which we'll have that in the second segment of who could replace him. This Nationals team has been fun. Simple as that. You sit at 31-35. You're 3rd in the NL East. You just got your butt whooped by the New York Mets last week. You then take 3 of 4 against the Atlanta Braves. And now you take a game from a pretty solid Detroit Tigers team on the road, in which, by the way, this Nationals team on the road so far this year, that's been a real story about how good they have been on the road. But once they get at home, I don't know what it is, but still. The Nationals, they may not be the best team out there, but damn, they are a fun one. And you continue to watch this team. You see the growth. You see the development. That is what this season has been about. Having CJ Abrams hit that triple, go up 2-0. Having Lane Thomas in extra innings continue to come through for this team when it matters most. Getting his OPS back up to 628 after starting real damn slow so far this season. You can see a lot of good things happening for this team. And again, if you have C.J. Abrams and Lane Thomas clicking for this lineup, good things will happen, especially the way that Mitchell Parker pitched. And of course, we were locked on Nationals, but the way that we talk about this starting pitching, locked on that starting pitching, looked pretty damn good to me. I don't know what it is, this team. Sean Doolittle, you are a godsend. At this point, I don't know who to credit. Should I give some credit to Jim Hickey? Of course. But Sean Doolittle, you're the real deal, man. You got to be the pitching coach moving forward. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there. Hit that subscriber button for me as well. But now, could it be James Wood's season? Serious question. He is rehabbing still, coming back from injury. Should be in the lineup here in the next day or two. But could we see him up in the majors? Could he be flying up to Detroit to replace Joey Gallo? I'll answer that. But we got to tell you guys about our friends over at Tax Network USA. And guys, here on Locked On Nationals, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team, whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs. It's all year round. So you know what else is year round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and need help collect filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. See the link in this episode description below. Again, that is visit tnusa.com/lockedon. Now, let me tell you guys about some of our very good friends over at PrizePicks. And guys, you all know about our friends at PrizePicks. You got the NBA Finals tonight. And if you may not know about them, PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun, exciting way to get on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. And with PrizePicks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make PrizePicks lineups as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stats, projections, and you're locked in. If you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays, which increase your chance of getting a win, to getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. PrizePicks is awesome, and it's America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Get on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community. And of course, I want you guys to get the boosted payouts on select basketball stats and much, much more. So all you've got to do is, guys, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that is code LOCKEDONMLB. Is it time for James Wood? Is it? Well, James Wood, it's not your time yet. I'm sorry. Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo is going to be heading to the IL with a hamstring injury. It is a very unfortunate time because Joey Gallo has been one of the better defensive first basemen all season long, across the National League and as well as American League, across Major League Baseball as a whole at this point. So very unfortunate to see Joey Gallo go down with that hamstring injury yesterday. But who should replace Joey Gallo right now? Who should be that guy? There are a couple different options. And just last week, the Nationals sent down Riley Adams to go get reps over at first base. So he's in the contention right now. You also have Juan Yepez, someone that the Nationals signed to a minor league deal, coming back after being DFA'd by the Cardinals this last offseason. Juan Yepez is a very intriguing option who we'll talk about him a little bit later on. Travis Blankenhorn as well, someone who kills the baseball down in AAA. He is your ultimate 4A kind of player, someone who is very good down in AAA, a former top prospect, but unfortunately, when he gets to the majors, it just doesn't really work out that well. And then, of course, Trey Lipscomb is in the fold as well. Kind of your super utility guy who could replace the roster spot. But what would I do? Because I think there's two answers. What would I do? I would actually call up Juan Yepez. Some people may be considering, well, why would you call up Juan Yepez? What has been the real impact that he has had so far this season? And as you kind of look into it, Juan Yepez hasn't really had your prototypical solid season up at this point. But Juan Yepez has had some success in the past. And some people may kind of look beyond that and say, well, what's the big deal about it? He's got a 758 OPS so far on the season down in Rochester through 56 games. He's got 8 home runs, 34 RBIs. Here's the thing with Juan Yepez, though. He has had some sort of impact with a Major League ball club over the last few seasons. Even back 2 years ago, Juan Yepez was not some valued prospect by the St. Louis Cardinals, but he played some meaningful innings. He even had a very big hit back in the postseason against the Philadelphia Phillies just a handful of years ago. Juan Yepez is not someone who is, in my opinion, just going to sit down in AAA forever. If this was my call, I'd look at him and say, let's get you up in the majors because you solve some of our issues right now. Number one, he does play first base, he plays third base, and he does play a little bit in the outfield. He's got a right-handed power bat. I mean, the Nationals, there's no secret here. You need power. Riley Adams could fit that equation right now, but if it was up to me, I'd continue to let him cook down in the minors, get him some more reps over at first base. You don't want someone to be a project over at first base up in the majors. That never works out well. That is not going to work well for your middle infield tandem, who are still two young guys with Abrams and Garcia. Nick Senzel, who is a fine defensive third baseman, but not really going to save the day over there either. You need to have a kind of a bit of an anchor over at first base, someone that you can trust. And even looking at Trey Lipscomb, the limited time that he has played at first base, if you're really going to put him there or even have Joey Meneses there, that's not really going to solve all too much. Now, I don't know too much about Juan Yepez, the first baseman, but you can move this guy around the diamond a little bit. He can play a little bit of third base, first base, and has played in the outfield as well. Can even come off the bench and DH for you. He's got a little bit of a stick there. Juan Yepez would be the answer for me. Now, I'm not Davey Martinez, and I'm not Mike Rizzo. Do they really want to call up Juan Yepez, the mid-20s guy who has shown some flashes in the past, 26 years old, had some decent product over the last few seasons down in AAA? His power numbers did kind of decline last season, but he has looked solid this year. He's still hitting home runs, 26 years old. I would like to see the Nationals give him a chance, but I don't think they do that. I think they probably go back down to the well with Trey Lipscomb. Some people may like that, but Trey Lipscomb has not been hitting the ball at all at AAA. He didn't really do it that much either up in the majors. We need offense. And yes, while defense is important, if you're going to be playing Trey Lipscomb over at first, that doesn't really help you too much. He's not a true first baseman. Now, is Juan Yepez a true first baseman? A little bit more true than a Trey Lipscomb, in my opinion. More true than a Riley Adams in this point. I would go with a Juan Yepez. But the Nationals, they are likely going to go the Trey Lipscomb route. And again, we are recording this. They could have made a roster move right now. I have my notifications on my phone. I have yet to see anything come up just yet. So maybe by the time this episode comes out, we'll figure out a timeline for Joey Gallo. We'll figure out who's going to be your Nationals first baseman moving forward. But this is what's going to happen. They're going to have Joey Meneses play first base, and you'll have Trey Lipscomb come up and fill that roster spot while Joey Gallo goes on the IL. And again, this is unfortunate for Gallo. He has not been all too great offensively this year, but he has been a little bit better so far. He's kind of turned it around a little bit over the last week or two here. He's hit some couple big home runs. Joey Gallo still got power. If you look at his baseball savant numbers, they're still up in upper echelon of Major League Baseball. So it does suck for Joey Gallo. I feel for the guy. I feel for him. He's been really good defensively. And again, I think that is a slept-on factor with Joey Gallo. And he's talked about this plenty of times over the years. But the Nationals, if it was up to me, I'm going Juan Yepez. Get him up to the majors. Let him see what he can do. Because again, that is kind of what you need a power guy, someone who can just play first base and, again, get a look at him. See what this guy can do. I'm not saying he's going to be your first baseman of the future, but he could be your first baseman of the present until Joey Gallo comes back. And who knows? Maybe Juan Yepez has a 780 OPS and he's playing solid first base and he knocks off Joey Gallo at this point. You never know. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals. That is where you'll find your latest daily Nationals content of the Washington Nationals. Next, let me tell you guys about our very good friends over at eBay Motors. And guys, when we talk about eBay Motors, you need to know that there is passion. There is, oh, what just happened there? I know what happened there. eBay Motors wants to tell you guys about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the price you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And while you're at it, again, look up Locked On Nationals over on YouTube. Hit that subscriber button for me. If you like the show, let me know. Follow me on Twitter, RyanClary11. Send me an email, RyanClary1998@gmail.com. And of course, follow us over on Twitter of the show page at LO_Nationals. Nats have a big game tonight. Sort of. Game 2, Tiger series. You're in Detroit, which, by the way, Comerica Park, you sleep on Comerica Park. If you see the backdrop there, it is a wildly cool ballpark, in my opinion. I've always liked kind of like the way the brick house out there in right field, the way that just the wall there. I don't even know how to describe it, but if you're watching the game, you know what I'm talking about. Comerica Park has a beautiful sightline as well. The city and the backdrop there. It is an awesome place to watch a ball game. I've always been fascinated by their scoreboard too, with the Tiger on top. I think it's a really cool ballpark. And again, you sleep on Comerica Park. I want to go there someday. Watching them play there, it seems like a very cool ballpark, a nice little environment there. Hopefully Tigers fans can pack the joint up. But as we know, the Nationals, we're here to come raid your party. Jake Irvin against right-handed pitcher Reese Olson, again, 24 years old, 65 2/3 innings pitched so far on the season, a 1.20 whip on the season, 58 strikeouts for Reese Olson. He has been a very solid pitcher for the Tigers up to this point, probably their best pitcher so far in their starting rotation. Luckily for the Nationals, you've got Jake Irvin on the mound. Jake Irvin, again, has been in the same conversation as Mitchell Parker. If you remember last year, we were talking about how Jake Irvin has been wildly impressive. He's been really good. Well, Mitchell Parker has kind of blown that away. But so far in year 2, Jake Irvin has been the Nationals' second best pitcher, in my opinion. Mitchell Parker could be in that equation as well, but I think Jake Irvin, if you were kind of to throw out a postseason rotation right now, it would be number 1, Mackenzie Gore. Number 2 would be Jake Irvin, followed by Mitchell Parker at number 3. I want Jake Irvin. I want him in big games here. This is not a big game. It's June 12th. You're going up against the Tigers. The Tigers are not a kick-over team by any means, by the way. But still, I want Jake Irvin on the mound. And I think with tonight's lineup, if the Nationals can get some sort of production from their offense, if you can get 4 runs, I think that's all that it will take for the Nationals to get this job done. Now, Jake Irvin, and again, going into yesterday's game, you have Hunter Harvey. You use Kyle Finnegan for an inning and 2/3, so he's not going to be available tonight. At least you hope he's not going to be available at this point. I don't know what the Nationals will do, but one thing is for sure, you're going to have offensive production. Jake Irvin, unfortunately, you're going to have to go deep in this game tonight, probably. You are going to have to go relatively deep on a Wednesday, which is not ideal. But again, you used up your bullpen last night. Not Jake Irvin, but Davey Martinez. You need to have a very good inning. You need to have a very good start. Because again, you've got a day game tomorrow. You're going to have short rest from game 2 going into game 3. The bullpen will be on a little bit of slow rest at this point. You're not going to be seeing your A team out there, unfortunately. But again, if Jake Irvin can get the job done the way that he has been over the last month, then you're going to be seeing very good results. And if the Nationals can add some runs against a solid starting pitcher up at this point with Reese Olson, you'll be seeing a very good / different Nationals team. So this will be a fun one to watch. And of course, you can catch it over on Masson or listen on 106.7 The Fan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. You have a good one. Enjoy the game. Can the Nats win 2 in a row? We'll see. From Locked On Nats, starting pitching.